Hey everyone, we are live. Hope you are able to see me now. And can you confirm if you can hear my voice? It should be good, but just to confirm. Krishna? Great. So, last time we did TypeScript, and today I'll keep it short because there was a power failure at my home entire day, so it just came and uh, I'll we will just discuss TypeScript today and a little bit of probably Angular. So we'll keep it like 1 hour short, 1 hour for today, and we'll continue tomorrow. So this is TypeScript demo, the same folder which we created last time. So there were few things which were left to discuss about. So we'll continue that. Let me just do that. So first thing which I had to discuss was, of course, we discussed about classes, we discussed about interfaces, arrays, all other data types, right? So, but we didn't discuss objects, which is really important when you work on a large enterprise application, because we might have to actually handle the objects as well. So we created interfaces. Of course, this is what you are going to use most of the time. So whenever you have some uh, data types which is coming from your backend, so you can actually go ahead and create your interfaces and then you can use it. But there are a few more things which we can do using interfaces and arrays, and that's what we are going to see today. So I'll go back to my datatypes.ts file. We last time we also discussed about this literal types, right? So here I'll go back. Mm. So let's go ahead and create a new object. For example, we already had address. I just need a normal object. For example, employees. Okay, let's take this one. So I'll take this as an object. Let emp list of. So let's export this interface, and then probably we'll take same example for arrays as well. So here, which file is unsaved? Data types. Okay, so export interface employees, and then we need to import it here. So let's go back and do that. So import from dot slash interfaces. So I can take employees. So we got this object and now we are going to work with it. So let's see what are the things which we can actually do with this object. So I'll create a new object, let emp. I think emp should be already there, but let's confirm. Okay, we already have emp. So let's say new employee is Adam, right? So Adam is a new employee, is equals to new, or sorry, which is type of employee, is equals to an object, right? So these are the different objects which we can have. So we will just copy this from here, as we already have this data. So we have ID, email, date of birth, department, name, salary, and other things, right? So let's say I want to actually take one property from this particular object. So generally what we do, this is what so let's say if I have to just select email few properties. For example, I want to actually do some operation, and we already have this employees data. And what we want to do is we want to select employee and date of birth. So of course you know how to do it, so you can actually do something like this, right? So you can do new, for example, emp email, because let's try with email. I don't think so email is defined, so I can just do this, right? I can say Adam dot email, and then I can write date of birth is equals to Adam dot date of birth. So we have to actually write this in 2 lines. What if I can do it in a single line? Yes, that's possible using the new syntax which is available in ES6. Remember, most of the syntax which we are seeing here, it's not specific to TypeScript, it's available in ES6 as well. So if you can actually go ahead and utilize it whenever you are writing even your normal JavaScript, right? So where you are using ES 2015, so it's not only applicable for TypeScript. So I can just do something like this. So I can say let is equals to, I can say equals to Adam, and then in this curly brackets I can select what I want to what are the properties I want to take from this particular property or this particular variable. So I can just say, okay, I need email and date of birth. So you can see I did the same thing. This is the same thing which I have written in a single line, and then you can actually do console.log to verify what are the values. So email, and then console.log date of birth, right? So they are valid values. So rather than actually doing this in your code base, start doing this, which is like a single line syntax, and you can actually achieve the same thing. What in case I want to rename the variable? So let's say I wanted to have an email, but this email variable will be, let's say, employee email, right? So I want this variable to be available, and you will say, okay, I cannot use this syntax now because my requirement is to have something like this. It's you can actually go ahead and do that. So you can say here, I think does not exist on type employee, be email, sorry. Should be like this, and emp date of birth all cannot redeclare. Okay, so I can just comment this out, and now you have the same thing. So rather so what we needed is we needed a new variable name, because I don't want to use email and date of birth as it is. So you can actually give an alias name. So you can now use emp email and emp dpo date of birth. So this is like creating the variable but with a different name from this particular object. So this is also something which you can do. And let's see a few more things with the objects, what can be achieved. So let's say I want to update one property in Adam. Okay, so let's say I want to assign a new salary. So Adam got a promotion and now he has a new salary. So I want to do that. How you can do it? Of course, let's talk about the older syntax, or not the older syntax. This is generally what we do, right? So I can do emp salary is equals to 20k. Then, but what we are doing is we are actually mutating the same object, which is sometimes not that performant, right? So of course I can do this, not a problem. But whenever you have some kind of state management where your application is relying on your state, you cannot do this, because whenever you do this, you are mutating the object and changes won't be reflected back to your application. So this is the whole concept. Most of the state management techniques rely on the same thing, that whenever you have to update something, what you will do is you will update, or you will create a new object, you will return a new object. So how you can do this here? So let's comment this out and let's use the spread syntax which we have available. So rather than actually doing this, I can do something like this. So I can say Adam is equals to curly brackets, and then I can give 3 dots and mention the variable Adam, and then comma, and give the property name, whichever property you want to update. You can update multiple, it's absolutely fine. And then you can do salary and update it. Now it will work in case you have some state management available and you are relying on this Atom variable, Atom object. It will, your entire view will be updated as well. So remember, whenever you have any state management, try to use this particular syntax. Even in case you learn NGRX in future in Angular, you can also use the same syntax to update your state, or update or create a new state and return it to your application, and it will be updated. You don't have to do anything else. Whenever, especially when you use change section strategy on push, of course we are going to discuss about it, but the idea was to actually just introduce you to this particular syntax. You can also use this syntax with arrays. So let's go ahead and see that. Or we'll do two things. So let's go back to the interface.ts because we already have an array here. So that's what. So I can also use this syntax here. So I can say, so let's say I want to update this array, right? So I want to add a new value into this particular array. So what are the options which we have? So you also have, we saw push, right? So if you remember here in our data types.ts, we discussed about how you can use push. There are a few more operators available. So whenever you want to work with arrays, of course you can do push, you can do pop, you can also use concat operator, but you can also do use the spread operator to actually add a new record to your table. How? And this is something you can do using spread operator. So I can say emp list is equals to, so I can use the array. Now it's not an object, right? It's an array. So I can use 3 dots emp list, comma. So let's say you have a new record to add. So I'll create a new employee here. So let's let new emp is equals to, which is of course type of employee. So I'll copy this. So new employee, and then this is the new employee, and here I want to add this into the array, but I want to make sure that I return a new object. So how you can do it is use the spread operator. So 3 dots emp list, comma, and new emp. Now you have this 4th record which will be added into this particular array. So this is how you can do using array. You can also use the same syntax. So let me just let you know what this syntax is. So this syntax, right? So this syntax is something known as object destructuring, and this syntax can be used for arrays as well, which is called as array destructuring. So I think we might have used while discussing about arrays. So this is here for arrays. It is called array destructuring. I think this is what we did for on day 2 or day 1. Yep. And this is object destructuring. So you can do both. You can also destructure an array. You can also destructure an object. Good. I'll just take water and then we'll be back. Also, let me know if you ever use these operators in your application and what was the use case which you had used. Great. So apart from doing this, right? So let's go back to the interface. You can also create a read-only arrays. So here, I think read only. Here, or I think it should not be here, but I think it can be used. Read only array. Let's see. Hmm. And what we have here is ID is not assignable to object literal. You may specific ID does not exist in employees. Let's see what is here. So ID is available here, and it's in utility type read only. Ah, so it's only read only. So you can actually also do this. So once you change it to read only, this is your read only array, and you cannot mutate the object. So that's the whole idea about this read only property. You can also apply this on objects. So I can also go ahead and do that here. So I can say read only. So it's kind of read only. Uh, I'm sure you know about what read is, right? So you can only just read, and you won't be able to directly mutate the object. So that's the idea. So in case I try to do this here, so this syntax, right? So which we had used. So if I try to do this, it will fail. So it's because it's a read only array, a read only object right now. So I won't be able to do this. It's really helpful in case you want to enforce in your team that we shouldn't be mutating the object directly, or we shouldn't be mutating an array directly. It's useful, so you can just mark it as read only, and then no one will be even accidentally able to do this. So yeah, you can also use read only. It's a utility type which is available, so you don't have to actually write your own. It's only it's already available in TypeScript, so I can just go ahead and see. So it says okay, it marks it as a read only. So all the keys. So if you're trying to read this particular syntax, so let me just do that for you. So it's like every key in your object will be marked as read only, and this is just type and property. So that's it. So let's go ahead and use this. And do we have any other utility types? I think there are a few more, so let's go ahead and do that. Here in employees, right? So let's take this example. So employees, you can see all the properties of employees are actually required, right? So there are a few utility types you can actually use in TypeScript. The thing is, I'm not sure how many times developers do use it, but this utility types are very useful, and one of them is known as partial. So let's go ahead and see use partial here. So I'll go ahead and create a new property. So which is type of employee is equals to. So if I right now, if let's say these are the required properties which we have, and let's remove salary. So you have an error. So right. So it says okay, you have a property salary which is actually required, but it's missing. What you can do is, for example, let's say you have a valid use case that where you don't have salary available. So what you can do is you can mark it as partial. So here I can use partial utility type. So let's go back and see the implementation. So it actually marks each property from your object as optional. I'm sure you remember this particular syntax, right? So it says go ahead and add or make all the properties in this particular type. The type is of course employees as optional. So this is what partial does. You also have required. So in case you want to make sure that you have some properties which is not marked as required. So let's go back to the interface.ts. I think we do have some, for example, address, right? So in address you have few properties: address 1, address 2, city, pin. But there is a screen, and what you want to do is you want to make this particular properties required now, because on this screen all the properties are should be available, and your user or your developer should not miss assigning any of the properties. How you can do it? Yes, that's possible. So let's say here we have city address to. So here we are not mentioning address to, right? But let's say we wanted to actually enforce that address to should be required. Of course, you have another utility type known as required, and you can use it here. So it now you can see there is an error because it says address to is missing. It's like exactly, no, you don't have to. So it's like exactly opposite of partial, right? Partial marks everything as optional. Required actually removes everything which is marked as optional. So you can see it uses negate operator, and that's it. So you can also use required. Read only is something which we saw. There is another called pick. Let's discuss about pick operator, pick utility type, and let's give address to here as of now. Looks like again there is a power failure. So it came after 6 hours, and then okay. So pick, right? So let's say you have employees, right? So you have employees array. What you want to do is you want to actually, so you have some screen or some, let's say some operation where you want some properties from employees, and you want to construct a new type. So yes, that's possible. You can actually do it within the arrays as well, or you can just create your own type. So something like this is possible. So I can say type new employee is equals to, so I can use pick, which is a utility type, and it takes 2 parameters. So if you see the implementation, so it says okay, there is a t which is type, so I can pass employees as type. And second is it says key extends key of, so you can pass the keys here. So let's say I wanted to actually just take email and date of birth. Sorry. I hope this is the one. Sorry. Email. So let's say I have email, and this is what I can do. And if you see the type of new employee, right? So now new employee says it can actually it has a property called email. So what we did is we picked a particular property from employees without creating a new interface. We just said okay, this is email property which I need from this particular employees. So this is something which you can also do within the interfaces as well. So for example here, right? So interface, I can also do that. Okay, there is an address property where I pick the address interface. I can pass address interface, and then of course address interface requires some type, so I can say okay, this is string, comma, one of the keys, right? So we can do, let's say I wanted to have ID, and I can change this to address ID. So a different property by using the existing interface which we have. So I can just say okay, this is the type, this is the property which I need. You can also use union operators, I think, here, ID, or what we have, let's say address line 1. So you can see it will say okay, now my address ID can also have ID or address 1 both. So this is how you can use pick utility type. And let's go ahead and see. So what email and date of birth. So sorry, here you can also of course you can use email and date of birth, and it will work. So now you can also, your employee can have email and date of birth both. Yeah, I think you are referring to this particular syntax. So you can just put pipe and put n number of properties, right? So whatever you need from this particular interface. It doesn't have to be just single one. So you can also use, I think there is another utility type which is known as omit. So you can create a new type from like the existing interface by omitting some properties. So here I can say, okay, this is mm, new department, and from where I want to omit. So let's say I'll omit employees, and then I can just omit the properties I don't want to. So for example, I can drop salary from here. So I can say, okay, just exclude the salary and create a new type for me. So you can see you will not find salary here, but all the remaining properties which is available in employees. And of course you can just go ahead and give pipe and then drop other properties. So I can say, okay, remove date of birth. Now date of birth won't be available here as well. So this is omit type. And uh, do I need to actually talk about something else? I think this is enough. Yep, I think this is these are more than enough utility types which you need to know. But in case you need to be aware of more utility types, you can actually go to TypeScript docs, search about utility types, and you will come to know about all the utility types, because there is a possibility that they may add a new one, or there are more than this. What we have seen right now, we have not covered everything. So you can actually go to TypeScript docs and learn about it. So that's utility type for us. And do I need to? Okay. So other thing which we need to do is decorators. So decorators are something which is really important in terms of Angular. So in Angular we use a lot of decorators. We have component decorator, we have uh, your modules, you have injectables. Those are decorators which exist inside Angular itself. So you can also write your own decorators, but try to avoid it because it's not a valid or ES6 syntax. It's still experimental. The reason being, when TypeScript started implementing this decorators, I mean, there was plan to actually include it in JavaScript as well, the ES6 syntax, but it was dropped later. And meanwhile, it was widely used in TypeScript, so TypeScript cannot drop it. So they have to support. So there are two things. Whenever you want to use the decorators, you have to actually go ahead and enable this experimental options. So I can remove this experimental decorators because it is required whenever I'm writing a decorator. So let's see. You can actually write decorators on your properties. You can write it on function. You can write it on a class. So yes, that's possible. So I'll just take a simple which one should I take? I think no. So let's take a example of function decorator which we have. So decorator. So you will get a little bit idea about what decorators are. Right? So here I'll take an example from the docs itself. So because I don't want to write my own. So here we have a decorator which is this is not the one. Or should we take this? Okay, let's take this one. Okay, so it's an example from the doc, so I'm not writing my own. So you can see there is a decorator called enumerable, which we are passing a value true or false, and this is a syntax, right? So this is the syntax which we have to use in case you are writing a function decorator. So if you see what this function decorator does, it's actually returns a new function inside the enumerable function. So it's not something which doesn't exist in JavaScript. We have been doing something like this from a longer time. You may know it as so I think it's iffy, right? So if a function returns a function, this is what we do in iffy. immediately invoked function expression. The syntax is something like this in Iffy, but we are not doing this here. But this is how you write your uh, decorator. So you have a function, and then you return a new function within this. For function decorators, this is something which we get. So you get three properties: target, property, and descriptor. So descriptor is something which you can see it's an interface, and there are a few already predefined values. I mean, this is something which your TypeScript has a valid type for descriptor. So you have configurable, enumerable, value, writable. These are all properties which we have available, right? So here, the way let's talk about what these properties are. So this target is actually you can apply this enumerable decorator on any function in any class. It doesn't have to be actually applied only to greater class. So I can create a number of classes, and then I can still go ahead and use this enumerable decorator which we have. So here if I see target is nothing but the class. So this you will find when you run this. So you'll find, okay, this is greater. So let's do that, actually just run it, and I'll just add some console.log to check. So I can say console.log target console.log. Then we have property key. Property key will be your function, so on which function we are applying this, and then descriptor, of course we discuss about this interface which we have, and you can apply this value. So let's run it. So I can just go back and say tsc. We have already enabled the sorry, I have to be inside this particular folder. So we have already enabled the experimental flags, so it will work, otherwise it will throw an exception. And now there are a few errors because of the properties which we have, the utility types which we have used. Now let's do node and decorators. Cannot find Angular to do. Why decorator? What happened? Okay, because there was an error, so the file was not generated. I cannot see decorator.js, or do I need to? Okay, I think because of error it was not generated, so I can do something like this. No implicit any out directory module ESN module interrupt. Skip check. What happened here? See. Let's see. Found 9 errors. I think due to errors it was not created right now. Interface class. Okay, I think it is not getting generated because of this errors. Sorry, it is because it's in DST folder. I'm just running it from outside. So node DST / decorators. So you can see you have this as where is that gone? Decorators. So console.log target is an object. Why it should be your class. Property key is correct, so I'm not sure why its greater is not coming here. Probably so target should be your class, and then property key is your property, the name of function which is available here, and then of course property descriptor, we have different values. So that the thing is you can actually go ahead and change the behavior of your function or behavior of your class, behavior of your property by using this decorators. I mean, probably you can actually create, let's say, a property decorator, right? And you can mark it as required. So all the wherever you apply that required decorator, all the properties are required. So inside a class. So right now, let's say we have this greeting property. You can actually mark it as required. Yeah. So you can mark it as required by using the new decorator we write. Again, try to not write the decorators in Angular, because of course decorators does not exist in JavaScript, and until unless you need to, right? So because there are a few libraries which does use decorators, but Angular team suggests not to write one. So just keep in mind, I mean, in case you you have a requirement, just go ahead and write, but try to avoid it as much as possible. Hmm. So this was about decorators, and then we can. Hmm. Great. So I think this is enough for TypeScript. Let's see what else after TypeScript. So we wanted to discuss a few more things. Now I think we can go back to our repository, and so in case you want to refer to the repository, this is Angular getting started. You can just go back to my profile, and you will be able to find this getting started Angular getting started repository here. So we discuss about, I think now, most of the things from TypeScript, and now let's talk about Angular, right? So probably we still have 20 minutes, so I can actually talk about the setup and everything else. So first step is, of course, we have already done all these prerequisites, right? So your software development environment, setup development environment, we already went through it. And so now the first thing which we have to do is, whenever you want to start with a new project, there are multiple ways you can actually install an Angular CLI globally, or you can actually also do it locally. So what we will do is, we are going to use Angular 12 RC, which is already released, just in case, just to test it, right? I mean, we can also see if something breaks. So here I'm going to create a new folder. So I'll say this is Angular demo probably, and let's go back inside this terminal. So what we want to do is, we want to install Angular CLI first. In case you want to install Angular CLI globally, you can just do something like this. So you can say npm install @angular/CLI-G. This will install Angular CLI globally, and it will take the latest stable version. So if you run this command right now, it will take the latest stable version, which will be around 11.2 something, but we want to use 12.0 RC. So yeah, so right now the latest stable version is 11.2.10, which is installed for us. But as I said, we are going to use the latest RC version which is available, so we can also test it. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to use npm, because npm is going to install it globally. I don't want to actually go ahead and touch the global cache, so I can just do something. So I can use something like npx. So npx will not write anything to the cache, it will just use it locally. But there are few things which we have to pass, few more things which we have to pass. So what we want to do is, we want to install Angular CLI. In case right now, go ahead and run this in case you don't have CLI installed, because this is what you are going to use in future. So go ahead and run this. I'm going to create a new workspace using Angular RC. I'm sure this might be a little bit confusing, but as we want to use the latest version of Angular 12, I mean the RC version, right? So which is out. So I can use npx, and then I can say npx Angular CLI @next. When you give the next to your I mean, you can also pass the specific version here, CLI @. For example, if you want to use Angular CLI 5 or 6, you can actually pass the specific version here, and it will install that particular specific version. When you say next, it will go ahead and install the next version, which is in RC for us. Then what we have to do is, we have to pass few more parameters. So npx Angular CLI @next, and then I want to create a new project as well. So I can say Angular CLI @next. Let's see if I'm right. So new, and then application name. So I'm going to give it as a e-commerce application. So I can say this is e-com app. Let's hope it works. Worked. So I'm saying okay. So it will ask you few questions. So whenever you start a new project using ng new, so in case we wanted to do it after npm install, I could have actually said ng new. I could have actually removed this and just write ng new ecom app. So in case you want to use the Angular version 11.2.10. But as I wanted to use RC, I used npx and then passed new ecom app. And now it is asking me a few questions. So it says, would you like to add Angular routing? As we are going to use Angular routing in future, I'm going to say yes. Then it is saying which style shift format you would like to use. So I'll say, okay, I want to use SAS, SCSS, and that's it. So yeah. So in case you do it for the stable version 11.2.0, there will be one extra question which will be there. So it will ask you whether you want to use or enable strict mode. Angular 12 introduces strict mode by default. So it's by default. You don't have an actually option to override while creating a new app. In Angular 12, in Angular 11, it was an option. So you can actually choose whether you want to opt in for strict mode or not. But in 12, it will be by default. And that's a good thing, because you should have strict mode while starting an application, because if you don't, you will face a lot of issues in future. Because every developer is different, right? I mean, they probably may follow all the TypeScript practices, they might type everything, but there will be developers who may actually skip it because they don't want to actually, let's say, they don't want to actually type anything, right? So probably they just use any, or they were confused what type to use and they just used any. So rather than actually doing that, you just enable the strict mode and then no one can do it. So you are stopping them at this step one, right? So this is what. So here you will find tsconfig.json and strict true. So you have strict true, you have, remember, no implicit returns, we also have that as true. And so here we are going to use module is, okay, target is ES 2017, and we in TypeScript we were using ES 2015, and module is ES 2020. You can also use ES Next. I think that should be the same. And these are few Angular compiler options which are added. So now we have a new application ready for us. So you can see the entire application was created with a single command. So we generally call it as ng new, because but I wanted to use the next version, RC version. So you can see I will have 12.0.0 RC.0. The next I mean few days, or let's see, yeah, few weeks. So we are just few weeks away from Angular 12 release as per the cycle, because let me tell you, so Angular releases one major version every 6 months. So now Angular 11 was released a few months ago. So now I think next month it will be 6 months from the last release. So we are expecting a new release for Angular 12 in few weeks. I mean, RC is already there. So it's, if you are not aware what RC means, it means release candidate. So it means all the changes which were expected in Angular 12 are now out there. So they might be doing some bug fixes in case they get few from the community. So in case, let's say if I'm trying it right now, and if I get some error, I can just log it on Angular repository, and this will be counted as a bug, and which will be fixed before Angular 12 release. And actually I was able to raise some PRs or raise some issues by trying the release candidate in past, and that counted as an open source contribution. So here cool. So we have new application. Of course we are using Angular 12 RC, and let's go back and see what we wanted to discuss next. So what we did right now, so we created a new application, new e-commerce application with a new or a default project. So remember, in Angular you can create an workspace with a default app, which is what we did right now, but you can also create an empty workspace with CLI. I mean, in an empty workspace, what you mean is there won't be a new project available here. So how you can do it? So let me just show you. So I can say ng-new. Right now I'm running ng-new, but I won't be creating any application. Just let me show you how. So I can say ng-new, and I can give my application name. So let's say this is test app, and I can give, let's see, ng-new underscore. So I think dry mode is something which I can use. Encapsulation, interactive, dry run. So I can say ng-new application. So I can say my app hyphen d. So let's see. So it's right now it's using Angular 11 because my global version is Angular 11. So it says, okay, do you want to enforce stricter type checking? So this will also help in case you are trying starting with Angular 11, right? So it says, okay, do you want to enforce stricter type checking and stricter bundle budgets in the workspace? So I can say yes. Would you like to add Angular routing? I can say yes. SAS. And so these will be the files which will be created if I create if I run Angular 11, right? So this will be the options, this will be the questions which will be asked. But what in case you can still see I create a new application with SRC, I mean with a default application. What in case I want to just create an empty workspace, I don't want any application as of now, and then I want to actually add apps or libraries later on. Here I can also pass a flag. So here you will find hyphen create application. So this is the flag which we can pass. So I can use this here, my app hyphen create application is equals to false, and then hyphen d. So I'm just running a dry mode, so it will not create a new application or new project for us. So I can say yes, this is something which is needed, and you can see it skipped another two questions. What was that question? Do you need Angular routing? Do you need, or which kind of style sheet you need? Because we are saying that I don't want to create a default application, and in case you don't have a default application, I mean there is no point in having a routing or no point having a default style sheet available. So in this case, this will be just the files which are available here outside. Like, so you have tsconfig, you have angular.json, package.json. So it's an empty workspace, and then you can add new application, new library, which we will talk in more detail later on. So this was just to introduce that whenever you are creating a new application, you can also do it without having a default application. So I can just ignore it by using hyphen create application is equals to false. It's a good thing in case you have already decided. Let's say your architect, your front end architect, he has already decided that this is the format he want to use, or this is the structure he want to use. So he may set it for you, or you can also suggest. I mean, of course, as a developer, everyone is free to suggest what kind of structure they want to use. Yes, create application is equals to false. That's what you can do. Okay, so we now know how you can create a new workspace using CLI, a new empty workspace using CLI, and how you can also create a workspace with default app. And what I wanted to do is next, I wanted to actually discuss about all the files which are available. So we will walk through the workspace, and we will talk a little bit about monorepo. So here I think it's already okay, we have 10 minutes, so let's try to do as much as possible. So I'll start with the last file which we have. Remember one thing, so as we are now in Angular 12, we are using Angular 12 RC, and this is what you are going to use in case you start a new application. So probably in few weeks Angular 12 will be there. So after a few weeks, let's say you start a new application, so you will start with Angular 12. And if you see Angular 11 application, there will be few changes which you can see. Let me just see if I have an Angular application. I think I will for sure, but let's see. Not this one. So let's say this is an application which was built prior to Angular 12. So you will find a tslint.json in case you have any application which is of Angular 12, not Angular 12, but below Angular 12. So tslint was actually used for linting, and now with Angular 12, tslint was actually deprecated, and it reached its end of life in December 2020. So now Angular will not support or not ship the tslint by default with Angular application. There is an option you can use Angular ESLint, which is available. Probably that's an agenda in our course as well, how you can actually migrate from tslint to ESLint. So probably we don't have to migrate because we already have an Angular 12 application which doesn't include your ESLint. So we'll do that. So tslint to ESLint migration, we'll see. So thanks to our community member called James Henry, who actually worked tirelessly to actually make it possible that we have an option available to move from tslint. Otherwise, it wouldn't be possible to actually have a linting in Angular. So he created an Angular ESLint thanks to him. So now we can use ESLint going onwards, or we can also use it in any version prior to Angular 12. So here let's go back and see. So first difference you will notice is, of course, this tslint.json won't be available anymore. So you can see the new application does not contains tslint. So let me just let you know what linters are. So linters are specifically used in case you have some guidelines or best practices which you want to follow in your application. Linters helps. So linter will tell you in case let's say you used somewhere single quotes, double quotes, right? I mean, as a developer we do that. So what you can do is you can actually specify whether you want to use single quotes or double quotes in your linting rules itself. And there are a few more. I mean, in case you want to allow what should be the name of your directives, right? So you can see your directives name should start from app, components name should start from app, and you can also import blacklist. For example, rxjs./rx. This should not be. We should not import anything from this. And max line, right? So how many lines of code you can write in a single line. So these are all rules. I mean, you can add few more if you want. So you can just refer the ESLinting rules and then you can add. Right now this is tslint, but you can also refer to the tslint rules and add more here. So of course that's one thing which is not available anymore. But tsconfig.json, right? So this file is also something which we saw while talking about TypeScript. You have tsconfig.json. With Angular you will find two more files. So you have tsconfig.app.json, you have tsconfig.spec.json, and you will find there are few overlaps. The thing is, in tsconfig.app.json, this configuration file, I mean, I'm sure you understand what tsconfig file is, right? So it's a TypeScript configuration file. So tsconfig.app.json will be used for your application code, the code which you will be writing, right? Of course, you will be writing even test cases, but tsconfig.app.json will be something which will be used for your application, right? The code which will be visible on your browser or whatever UI you create, and it will be available on your browser. So that's your app code. And tsconfig.spec.json, this code, this configuration will be used for all your test cases. So whatever test cases you write, this tsconfig.spec.json will be used. So how I can identify for what will be used. So you can see includes property here. So it says when so tsconfig.spec.json will be used for all the files which ends with spec.ts, and tsconfig.app.json it says okay, it will just include sassy.d.ts and everything. I mean, so all the ts file and this as well. This is the extra file which it will be included. So here, but it will include spec.ts. So all the files which ends with spec.ts. So it will not include, for example, if you create a component, directive, module, it will not include those files. It will just include spec.ts and d.ts. d.ts is actually type definition files. Probably we never discussed about it, but it's a type definition file which exists in TypeScript. Readme.md, of course, this is where you can actually write some information about what your project is. Package.json, we already saw this. So Angular actually already adds few scripts here, so you can see how to start application, how to build application, how to build your application in watch mode, how to run test, how to run linter. So that's, let's see. So what we found here, if I go to ecom, build, serve, extract, test. So this is an error. So we found an error. So in case you want to give it a try, or I'll go ahead and log this. We have nglint code, this nglint command available here. But do we have any linter? The answer is no. We don't have any linter. So does it make sense to actually serve lint command here? The answer is no. So see, I can actually create now a new issue which will be counted as a open source contribution for me. Probably I can give it a try and try to remove it. So package.json and package.lock is something which has everything about your packages from where it is downloaded and the versions. So you can see it has version 0.12.rc. Most of the time, first thing which I do is delete log file because it creates a lot of issues as well. Karma config, it will be used for your testing. So for running your test cases, Karma will be used. It's a task runner, which is also maintained by the Angular team. So it is a default task runner or default test runner which is served to you as a developer. So you can go ahead and use it. Angular.json is actually Angular configuration file. Remember, Angular.json will contain the list of all the projects you have, list of all the libraries you have. It will also tell you what kind of project is this. For example, ecom is type of an application project, and what are the different options or different commands it can have. So build, serve, extract IATN is something which is related to IATN internationalization and the test command, right? And it also tells you what is the default application which you have. So in case I add more, it will just make an entry inside projects. It also has a new project root. So in case this is a default application, right? But if I create new projects, where it will be created? So it will be created inside projects. I can also change this to apps, and then my new project whichever I create will be named as apps. NX follows different structure. It creates apps inside apps and libraries inside libs. So that's what NX follows, and we are going to see that as well. That will be far away from what we are discussing right now. But yes, the plan is to actually also talk about NX. So I'll just keep it as projects. Git ignore, all the files which you don't want to push on your code repository, you can just add them into git ignore. So all the files are available here, considering all the different languages which are known. So you can see, I think this dstore, thumbs.db, this is something which comes, I'm sure dstore I have seen somewhere, I'm not sure where, but these are related to IDEs and editors, and VS Code related files. This is miscellaneous files. So npm debug, because whenever there is an error in npm install, actually it creates a file called npm debug, or any npm command, right? So it creates this file. So it's already added as ignore file. But in case you are already also using, let's say, JavaScript, sorry, not JavaScript, but Java or .NET, you can also mark few more files which you don't want to include as part of your git ignore. Editor config is actually a common editor configuration file. So in case you want to bring some configurations from your favorite editors, you can actually do it via using editor config. And browser list RC, right? So this is something where you can define which browsers you want to support. So these are default one. So right now, if I create a build, it will be created based on the support for Chrome, one last version, and Firefox, one last version, 2 Edge major version, 2 Safari major version, 2 iOS. Firefox, I think this is in ESR, I'm not sure what full form is, but it does not support i11 right now, but you can also enable it. So it says Angular supports i11 only as an opt-in. To opt-in, remove not prefix. So you can just remove not prefix. I think most of the applications are dropping i11 support, so it doesn't make sense to actually include it. So these are few files which are available outside. Yeah, I think I have seen some. That's what I was saying. are they going to add? So browser, sorry, Brave is actually Chromium. I mean inside Brave, so this is already available. So you can actually go ahead and create an application, and it will work on Brave. So you don't have to do anything extra. It's Chromium, right? So even if you go to Edge, the latest IE browser, it's a Chromium behind the scenes. So it will also support that. Yep. So these are a few files which is available outside, and then I think we will continue with this folders SRC folder to tomorrow. Safari is Chromium? No, I don't think so. Safari is not Chromium browser. So Safari is something which is I think managed by who creates Safari. It's by Apple, and Apple will never use Chromium, so don't worry about it. It also it doesn't support a lot of things, so it's, and I mean you cannot expect Angular, Chrome and Safari to work together, because there are a lot of features requests which are pending from Safari. So I think this is it for today. So we can join tomorrow at the same time. So we'll continue with Angular, and let's create commit -m, add a new. Cool. So see you all tomorrow. Bye bye. I'll just push it. So sorry, I wanted to create a new